The Pewtercast is sponsored by huntakiller.com, an immersive murder mystery experience like no other. You can save 20% on your first box when you subscribe by using the code Pewtercast at checkout. And we'd like to thank huntakiller.com for their support of the show. Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always, fresh back from the green of Ireland, Ren Daxt. Welcome back to the States, my friend.
Thanks. It's nice to be here. Nice to sleep in my own bed. And, batteries recharged. Ready to go. I had my bye week.
There you go. Well, speaking of sleep, how's that jet lag hitting you there, brother?
It was, we got back, just about, pretty close to midnight Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving Day I needed no tryptophan to sleep. I napped all day long pretty much yesterday, just, fading in and out and watching the 3 football games. So I kind of got back on it, but, I fell asleep a little early today. Like about 9 o'clock, I was starting to get really tired. But I'll be back to my normal, staying up till 3 a.m. every day pretty soon here.
Your normal cheerful self, as we've come to know and love you.
Yes, exactly. Those are words that are used to describe me constantly.
Yes. All right, man. Well, welcome back. I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Happy holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate this time of year. Happy holidays. We're in that season. But Ren, you and I are certainly back at it because you know what? The Buccaneers still have a bunch of games left to play here on the season. And our week, we may have taken a little bit of a break. We missed our final thoughts episode this week. But I was traveling for Thanksgiving holiday. You were traveling overseas. And it just wasn't something that could work out. So, we had our instant cast. We've got this show coming up. But certainly, as you said, we're back into the normal swing of things. This is our Buc in the News show, Ren. And I know this is like the last show we do every week, but it's kind of the show I think I've realized this year. This is the show that sort of kicks off our week because this is the one that we start beginning to talk about what's getting ready to happen and come up here over the week. So good one to start. What we do here in this show, guys, is it's real simple. The work week for the Buccaneers are done. They have prepared for the game. This week we're going against the Jaguars. And so this is the chance where we get to talk about everything that's happened over the course of this past week as far as Buccaneer news. And then we'll take a look at the injury report. We'll take a look at inactives list. We'll see who's going to be playing. We'll talk about the game a little bit as we look towards this Jaguars game. Coming up later this week, we're going to have our instant cash show, so you guys make sure you join us for that. Sunday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You guys can join us live for that. And then we'll have our final thoughts show. We'll do emails and different things like that. But Ren, for right now, why don't we go ahead and get into Buc in the News? We'll take a look at what's going on. We always start by taking a look and seeing what has happened with the roster, if any moves have happened there. Usually there's some. Sometimes it's bottom of the roster kind of churning type stuff. But this week, Ren, absolutely no changes whatsoever to the roster. So Bucs holding steady.
Yeah, they were nice enough to do that when they knew that we were having a mini bye week ourselves. So
there you go.
Excited. That's strange, though. I can't remember, what the 3, 4, 5 years we've been doing this. I can't remember. I
don't remember a week, honestly, where there's not been a single transaction.
Yeah, usually there's some turnover in the practice squad just due to sort of injuries on the team.
Right. Especially this late in the season.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Next. Well, the next thing we do is we start taking a look at the headlines. And I don't know if this is just because of this being Thanksgiving week or if this was if this has just been indicative of the year as a whole, because I feel like a lot of times this year we've gone, there's not really a whole lot of headlines. You've said a few times this isn't a drama-filled team this year, so there's not some, but there are a few things to talk about. So let's go ahead and do that. Way back at the beginning of the week, Ren, I don't know if you heard while you were gone, Chris Godwin was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, a well-deserved award.
I did.
But what I found really interesting was he is the first receiver in team history to have won the award twice.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think I saw, it was either Greg Allman or maybe Scott Smith or somebody said, I had to double check this when I heard, when I, found out about this idea. Because that means Mike Evans, who has won it once, has never won it a second time. And for Chris Godwin, just so everybody knows, in case you're wondering, the last time he won this award was in week 17 of the 2017 season. So we're not even talking about winning it twice in the same year, just twice period.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, other receivers that you might think might have made it. Mike Evans, obviously. Vincent Jackson, perhaps. No, you don't think so?
No, I mean, I think the big surprise was Mike Evans. You know, I thought about that too. I'm looking back. I'm like, you know, wow, just only the first year just to win it twice, and all the great it's interesting. Mike Evans only won it once. That's surprising, and that's just kind of where it ends. I mean, we've had some good receivers, but you know, there's no wide receivers in Buccaneer history that are getting snubbed for the Hall of Fame.
That's fair. I mean, I mentioned VJax just because he was in like recent memory of someone who's been pretty good. But I'm trying to think back, and I only go back to the Super Bowl era, and to be quite honest, through the aughts, you know, the 2000s, I didn't follow the team super closely, certainly not as closely as I do now, even through the first half of the teens here. But I don't know. I don't know if there's really been any other receivers that have been that noteworthy. The Buccaneers have rarely been an offensive powerhouse of a team.
Yeah,
you know,
or win.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Yeah, so yeah, you don't score points a lot. You know, your offensive players don't win Player of the Week.
Right.
But it's a little shocking that Mike's only won it once for someone. You know, he holds just about every Buccaneers receiving record there is, or is going to very shortly. And you know, it's been said a bunch of times this year, especially since he just got it last game, how he started his career 6 years in a row with 1,000 yards.
Yep.
It's just one of those things, I guess. But congratulations to Chris Godwin.
There you go. Congratulations, Chris. All right. Moving on, kind of maybe some fun news. Derek Brooks and Leroy Selman have been named to the all-time list for the top 100 team for their respective positions. So, yay on them.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Leroy made it. Yeah. You know, I guess the first one that came out was a running back one. There was actually like one or two running backs I've never heard of, you know, because you can't make them all modern day, you know, sort of modern day NFL when you're doing 100 years of running back. But most of them were, you know, like most of the running backs in the top 10, I watched play. You know, I saw the very end of Earl Campbell's career. Dickerson, obviously, Peyton, Emmett. Obviously, I didn't see Jim Brown, but Barry Sanders, you know, 7 or maybe even 8 or 6 or 7 of those guys, like I watched their entire careers. So, you know, they're making obviously an effort to sort of go back and pick these guys that were great players, you know, for their time. And I was sort of worried about, you know, a defensive end in a 3-4 scheme that's on a stand-up outside linebacker. You know, he had his hand in his dirt. He was sort of you know, he wasn't a Shaq Barrett type. He was more of the JPP type. And, you know, only having not a lot of wins, he didn't play a lot of years, and, you know, just playing for the Buccaneers. It was nice to see that him being recognized about how actually good he was, how dominant of a player he was, because I'm sure when the final list comes out, as far as, you know, DNs come out, that most of them are again, like there's going to be about 7 of them that I watch play. So it was cool, you know, to see that. And I wasn't sure if he was, you know, going to make that list, but again, makes me happy as a Bucs fan.
Yeah. Oddly though, one person who didn't make this list was Warren Sapp in the defensive tackle category.
Okay.
Which I don't know. I certainly am no NFL historian enough to be able to say this, but you know, I mean, I do know this. Warren Sapp was named as a finalist to make this team, but he didn't make it. The all-time team.
Who did make it?
As far as the defensive tackles go, let's see here. It was Buck Buchanan, Joe Green, Bob Lilly, Merlin Olsen, Alan Page, John Randall, and Randy White. To be quite honest with you, there's 2 names on there I think I reckon.
That's fair. That seems fair to me, though.
Yeah. I mean, just a quick scroll through Twitter. A lot of people saying, I can't believe Warren didn't make it. The general consensus is, I can't believe that Warren didn't make it, but this is a really solid list.
Yeah.
As well.
Can't believe Warren didn't make it. Who are you going to take off? Oh, nobody.
Right.
Yeah. It's just one of those positions, you know. It's going to be like that at quarterback. There's going to be like first ballot slam dunk Hall of Famers that don't make, you know, especially if they're only doing 7. I thought they're doing 10. They're only doing 7.
Well, that was for defensive tackles. I know they did 12 linebackers for Derek Brooks's group. I don't know how many they did for defensive
Oh, so they're
ends.
just doing top 100 and whatever, how many. So they're not taking like 10 running backs,
Right.
10 linebackers. Okay. Well, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So
I don't
they'll
think
go with
Warren
25
Sapp-
quarterbacks. I don't know.
I don't think Warren Sapp's a top 100 player in NFL history.
You don't think so?
No.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
He's a dick.
Well, I mean, but when you look at some of the other people who did make it.
It
Do
goes
what?
into it. It goes into it.
O.J. Simpson made the list, though, as a running back.
He ran for 2,000 yards. The first person ever to run for 2,000 yards. Back when I think there was only like 10 games.
Right,
or
but
12 games.
if your argument is that Warren Sapp was a dick and that's why that factors into why he didn't make it, O.J. Simpson has a much more sordid history.
Yeah, but he's not a dick. He's just a psychopath.
All right.
He'll be nice to you.
That's a fine line there, Ren.
He'll be nice to you. He was nice to the media. O.J. Simpson was an American treasure until he wasn't. Until he wasn't.
Right. Right. Until it became the biggest media, courtroom drama of all time. So, all right. Well, anyway, congratulations to Derek and Leroy Selman, who can't receive the congratulations, to his family, I guess. Anyway, congratulations to you guys. And sorry, Warren.
Who were the linebackers that made it?
The other line, I don't have that in front of me.
Okay. Never mind then. Yeah. I rescind my question.
There you go. All right. Just a couple more. This, I think, came out of one of the press conferences. I don't know if it was Bowles or Leftwich. I really don't know. Or even might have been Bruce Arians. But basically, they said that, remember when Vita Vea scored that touchdown this past week? Mm-hmm. They said that play call was a reward because he blocked really well 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, that wasn't the only reason. I did manage to watch the BA show with Casey, and he said that it was also because what they saw on goal line, coming from the Falcons, and they thought it would work.
It did.
But because you can't really say that because what do you tell the other two tackles?
Right.
I mean, what do you tell Dotson? So Vea comes in for one play and makes a block, and now he gets to catch touchdown pass with Dotson, and even Donovan Smith have been sitting there blocking their butts off, their whole entire careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't get but those guys can't check it. I mean, I guess they could, but it'd be weird if they checked in as an eligible receiver.
It would be.
I mean, because basically you'd have to bring in, let's say, Josh Wells and have them play their normal position and then kick them out, and they turn around and say they're eligible receivers. So, no, I get it. I'd much rather just go with hey, it's the long game that they set up. Like, they put him out. When Vita Vea went in there 2 weeks ago, did you not think that they were going to turn around and hand him the ball or throw him the ball?
I was hoping.
I think everybody was thinking, they're going to do it. And they didn't even look at him. He just went in as a blocker. He went in as a distraction, especially after we saw Warren Sapp do that, 15 years earlier.
Wasted talent. They're
so,
wasting his talent.
To see Vita Vea go back in now, you go,
maybe Warren Sapp will get in top 100 tight end.
It's possible. Wouldn't it he could. I mean, probably not, but he could, I guess. No, he's not a finalist for group. Anyway, I'm just, my point being, I like the idea that they put in Vita Vea. They didn't throw to him intentionally. Then they came back out here a couple weeks later, put him in. They didn't know if they were going to throw to him or not. Like, it threw all that into question, right? I like that idea. They're playing the long game with that, and it was the look that they got from the Falcons. So, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, last bit of news that I have for this week.
Already?
Yeah, that's it. Rondé Barber, John Lynch, Simeon Rice. Any guesses to what these three guys have in common for this year? Yet again?
They will all be Hall of Fame snubs.
That is correct. That is
actually it's not. And
you don't think so?
I'm going to say this.
You think it's one of their years?
This is what I heard, and I haven't had a chance to look it up or ask her on Twitter. But since it is the 100th year of the NFL, they're letting in 10 guys of these 25.
Really?
So Lynch is pretty much a shoo-in.
Okay.
Being like his fifth time.
In the finalist room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he missed the finalist room last year, and it was like a shock.
These are semifinalists. So 10 of these guys are going to get in. So I don't know how many people are going to bring into the finalist room. Mm-hmm. Now, I might be wrong on that. That's what I heard. Mm-hmm. But if they do let 10 in, and I've read the list, like, I have a hard time finding 10 guys, including sort of putting Lynch and Barber in for sure, and then finding 8 other guys that me personally, get in. It's one of those things. Is this the Hall of Fame or is this the hall of the very, very good. So I think Lynch gets in. I think there's a push for Rondé because, people will start to realize that he invented the nickel position.
Sure.
What it is today. And,
right.
He might not necessarily get in 100% off his play, but he does have unique stats and sort of his contribution to the game. And that's sort of like why Tony Dungy got in. I mean, Tony Dungy on head coaching record by itself is not a Hall of Fame head coach.
Okay.
I just don't think he is. He won a lot of games. Focus on the defense way too much. I thought his philosophy as far as trying to win was outdated, and he had to go to a place where basically he was not allowed to touch the offense whatsoever with, possibly the greatest quarterback of all time, and he won a Super Bowl. The reason Tony Dungy got in was his contributions that he brought along to the National Football League by being the Buccaneers head coach, and then went and found all these African American coaches from all over, mostly the college ranks, that were well deserving to get into the NFL, and he proved to be right. And since he proved to be right, that was, I think, was a big thing to getting Tony Dungy in the Hall of Fame, because of how he progressed, the NFL, and sort of, they were getting there, but he really sort of stomped on the gas, because, like Marvin Lewis, head coach, who's the crazy one? Herm Edwards, became a head coach and is still a head coach in college.
Yeah.
Lovie Smith was a head coach, went to a Super Bowl.
Right.
Actually played, was coaching against Tony Dungy in his Super Bowl win. He's still coaching, head coach college football. Mike Tomlin, he's got a couple of rings.
Yep.
In Pittsburgh. And there's a lot more. Those are sort of just the cream of the crop, but you could just stop there. You had 4 guys off your staff that, chances are they definitely would have got an opportunity right then. Maybe they got an opportunity later, but they have proved themselves they've been ready. They belong, because, they all later went from positional coaches and coordinators to head coaches in the National Football League, and, a couple of Super Bowl wins between them. So I think that's, sort of like the main reason Tony Dungy got in.
Right.
And I think that's why Rondé is going to get in, because his contribution to the overall, culture and how he changed the game.
Do you think Simeon Rice should get in?
I haven't really put up his note. I thought he was great with us, obviously. I mean,
and he would go in as a Buccaneer.
Huh?
I think he would go in as a Buccaneer. I think is what I've always heard.
Who knows? He's he's a strange cat, man. He just is, And there's nothing wrong with it. He's not strange as in weird, as in like Warren Sapp, like, you're a strange dude and I don't like you. You're just, he just doesn't seem to, he doesn't play politics, I guess. He's always going to kind of say what's on his mind and do what he wants to do. And he's not doesn't feel like a huge self-promoter type of guy. Once he disappeared from football, he just disappeared. He's made
until
he
wanted to come back last year.
Huh?
Until he wanted to come back last year.
Yeah, whatever. But he's like, like made a couple of movies. He just kind of, he's a strange dude. So I don't understand why he gets looked over, because there was a stretch there where he was like averaging 2 sacks a game for us. But then he did have Warren Sapp with him on the line. But no, he was also really good in I guess it was St. Louis, or were they already in Phoenix? Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona, whatever they were, St. Louis with the Cardinals. So I mean, I really don't think he ever gets in, but if he's got a shot, this is the year. If that they're putting in 10 thing is true. I wonder if we bring him to the room. I should really look that up. My next podcast, I'll know.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the litmus test that Ira gives, and Ira, obviously being the Hall of Fame voter, is could you tell the story of football without talking about this guy? And I think Lynch kind of meets that litmus test. I think Rondé Barber meets that litmus test, as you detailed just a few minutes ago. I don't know that Simeon Rice does, though. He might not. I'm just not sure.
I don't think Lynch makes it. I think that's a catchphrase that Ira likes using because it really, really helps Rondé Barber.
Okay, it's a phrase that makes sense to me. Like, I mean, there's
it
a
makes
lot.
sense,
There's
but,
a lot more to it, obviously, than just that. But like, if you
yes.
had to boil it down to like a phrase like that, I think that encapsulates the general idea.
I think you could, I don't know how many players are in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing 300. Pushing 400 by now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could tell the history of professional football with like 50 dudes. I really do. So if that's what you're going to use as your limits, I just don't
326, by the way, is how many are currently
326.
Yeah.
And like there's lots of guys in there that you don't need to. Could you tell the story of the NFL without Warren Sapp? Yeah, you could.
You think so?
He's the first ballot. Yeah. He didn't make the top 100. There's 7 guys that the NFL has picked that you can tell the story of defensive tackle, not just the NFL, but just defensive tackle without him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I just don't sort of agree with that sentiment because I there has to be something that really changes the game. Like who was the first team to really implement the forward pass? Like I don't think Don Coryell, who was like Eric Coryell with the Chargers, Dan Fouts. I don't think Don Coryell is in the Hall of Fame. But if you're going to tell the story of the NFL, you can't tell it without talking about Don Coryell because what he did with the forward passing game. I mean, you look back he did with Dan Fouts, sort of like in the 80s. It's what they're doing now and what they've been doing for years now. And the way that the NFL's played is putting 3 wide receivers out there and pushing the ball down the field. And he did it for a decade.
Just so you know, I'm looking up just to see if there's anything to the deal about getting 10 people enshrined, and I'm not seeing anything about that right now. What I'm seeing right now is it's 5 modern era players, 10 senior inductees. There'll be 3 contributors and 2 coaches is who they're looking to put in this now.
Okay,
that's 20 people. I mean, that seems like a really big number of people. But that was also that's relative. So we'll see. We'll see what they wind up doing. If they do 10 being the 100-year anniversary, I think I might be okay with that.
It's also going to help sort of this log jam of certain positions or certain players.
Yeah,
like it's going to get. I think it'll most definitely get Lynch in, like for sure.
Sure.
But you can start putting in those arguments of guys that keep slipping. You can sort of get them in. If there's a log jam at like wide receivers, you can kind of clear that up. If there's a log jam at safeties, you can kind of clear that up. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ren, that's really going to do it for the headlines as we close out that discussion there. Before we move on to the injury report, we did get a couple of emails in this week. I just wanted to run through real quick.
Sure.
Just because they took the time to write in and we didn't get a chance to talk about it on an earlier show. Our friend Wes O'Connor sends us an email. I asked you before the show if you'd watched the Rams-Ravens game. You didn't, just where you were traveling and everything. I didn't get a chance to either. But he says, do you think that the Ravens could run on Tampa's defense? Ravens, we both know Ravens are having a pretty good year. They run the ball quite well. Do you think they could run on our defense, given how well we've been shutting down the run?
Well, here's the thing with the Ravens defense. When the Panthers went to the Super Bowl and Cam won his MVP of the league, this is what they did. They did Alabama's offense back with Jalen Hurd, and it's getting an extra player on the field or getting an extra blocker on the field because basically you're faking the ball and then the quarterback's sort of just tucking behind the running back and the running back becomes a blocker, so you get an extra blocker. It's real hard to stop in college, and when Cam was doing it in the pros, for that 1 year until basically he got so beat up he couldn't do it anymore, it was hard to stop, obviously. Now, I think they could run the ball on us. Do I think they would have one of their worst, if not worst, running performances? Yes. I would really like to see that because, Lamar Jackson's all the, I can't believe, I heard this, I was watching you were taping this Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and UCF is actually playing right now, the I-4 war for people who care, which, in Tampa not many do because USF is on the down, they're getting beaten like a drum right now.
Right.
But they said the legend that is Lamar Jackson. This guy doesn't have he's got barely 16 games under his belt.
Right.
And it's the legend of Lamar Jackson. Like they beat the crap out of the Patriots, and I think he threw for 188 yards. What makes Lamar Jackson special is getting the ball in his hand.
Right.
And not necessarily in space. He's incredibly elusive, but he's thin for an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think he's great. I haven't watched a lot of games. I know that he had big issues throwing the ball last year. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
In the playoff game, like, they almost benched him in his playoff loss. Like, he had 3 completions, and it's like halfway through the third quarter. Like, he was an eyelash from being benched. This year, obviously, he's came back and has done, improved his accuracy and his downfield passing and be able to read defense. It's night and day. It's almost unbelievable. Like, I couldn't tell you, his last game played halfway through the third quarter, he only had 3 completions, and now he's, probably the leading candidate for the MVP in the league. So I would really like to see this Buccaneers defense, run defense against the Ravens to see what they could do, because I think we give the Ravens a really good game, because what we do best is what they do best. And to be able to put the game on Jackson's arm, I kind of like those odds, and I really want to see how fast Devin White is.
Yeah,
because that would be that. It'd be like Devin White. Like, what are you doing today? You are wherever Jackson goes, you go.
Right.
He stays in the pocket, you shadow him. Besides that, if he does it, if they run the ball, like, you're still looking where Jackson is. You make sure he does not have the ball before you commit to going after the running back, and all the other times, we want you in his back pocket. So I think it'd be a fun game to watch. So yeah, would you have some success? Yes, because just the sheer amount of volume of runs that they try. But I think, I really like the chance of the Bucs holding the Ravens to their least amount of rushing yards they would have.
I don't have the Ravens numbers here in front of me, but I do know the Buccaneers have only allowed 100 rushing yards once this season so far, and that was against Seattle.
Yeah, and it was like
105.
Yeah, and in that game there was like a 50, 60 yarder, 70 yarder.
Right.
The one that Devin White ran down Carson and stripped him, but the fumble went out of bounds.
Yeah, it certainly would be interesting. Yeah, it definitely would be a fun game to watch. So, but that's in the world of make believe right now, I guess, because it's just not going to happen. All right, our friend Catherine sends us an email. This one's going to make you think here, Ren. You ready for this?
Sure.
She says, if you could make the perfect player using 3 current Bucs players, which players would you use and why? And here's how you can break it down. Brains, the smartness of a player. The body, meaning the strength and toughness of a player. And legs, the speed, agility, and quickness of a player. If you could,
that's not how I would build my player.
Well, but this is how Catherine has asked us.
Okay, so start over. Brain, body.
Yeah, brain, body, and legs.
So
smartness, strength,
speed,
and speed.
Toughness, and smarts.
Yep.
Football smarts, I'm assuming?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Just to be weird, I'd like to pick Justin Evans, because everyone talks about how football smart he is.
Okay.
We had Carmen on. I'm not going to, but I'd just like to sort of an honorable mention to him.
Okay.
I want to pick like Levante David or Allie or Jameis.
For smartness, for brains?
Yeah. Because, Levante David, besides being, extremely good tackler, horribly underrated and all that, the reason he's so good is because he's never out of position.
Right.
I guess, Tomic and Sue could get a vote or could be in that conversation. But, I'm not saying he's football literate or football dumb. It's just that I think that
it's hard for the trench guys to show off their football IQ, football awareness.
Right. And I sort of use the same argument with Levante David that I am with Ali Marpet about, it doesn't seem like Ali ever blows an assignment.
Right.
And not only that, he rarely gets beat. But why does he rarely get beat? Because he rarely blows an assignment.
Right.
And then, Jameis, and we don't really know if this is BA, so it was a protecting game at the beginning of the year, but how much Jameis just wants to compete, and we're seeing him sort of mature as a player. Even when things go bad, they're not snowballing on him like they used to. Even in the Carolina game, we were still in it. When there's been plenty of games where we have quote unquote Jameis games and we're not in it. It's, we're down 4 touchdowns and he's still out there, throwing into triple coverage.
For the record, I think I would personally pick Jameis for that, and because what we've always heard about him is his football smarts, his football IQ.
Right.
Just because he makes bad decisions sometimes, he gets in a rush, he gets whatever's going on. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know what the game of football is. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like he can get hurried, he can get rushed, and almost it might be. And I hate to say it like this, almost like he's too smart about it. Like he knows what all the different options are, and he goes for he's also a risk taker. Like that's also part of his personality. That doesn't mean he's dumb when it comes to knowing what to do or what should happen.
You can throw this pass for a 90%, completion rate, or you can throw this one for 33.
Right.
I'll throw the 33 one 3 times because that's the same as throwing, the check down one time.
There you go.
Kind of how his brain works.
Yeah.
Okay,
but Levante's I'm not saying any of these people are bad. Levante'd probably be my next pick though.
And the second one
is body,
is it just
strength,
size.
It says strength and toughness is the qualification she gives on that.
God, that's got to be strength. It's got to be Villa.
Yeah,
I don't know how quote unquote tough he is. It's kind of hard to call him a tough guy when he pulled his calf muscle and he was out like 19 weeks. But soft tissue injuries, that's just unfair.
Right.
For strength would be Villa. Legs, we don't have any blazers. I guess you'd take Scotty Miller.
Scooty, yeah.
Take Scooty.
Scooty.
Jameis, Villa, and Scooty.
Yeah.
Levante David.
Levante's shown some quickness. Devin White actually has shown some pretty good quickness here lately too. So I wouldn't put him in a foot race. This is what it's like. You want to take Scooty's speed, but you feel like you should take Devin White's speed because he's just kind of bigger. But if you're just taking his speed, you're not taking his size, you're not taking his lack of want to stick your nose in there because you're about as tall as a Smurf. Then it's difficult. That's why when I first thought of it, I said Jameis, Godwin, and I was thinking about the third one because like toughness. I don't think there's anybody tougher on our team than Chris Godwin. Like he does not. You have to tackle Chris Godwin, right?
And not only that, if he's not catching passes and not running routes, he's still on the field. You know why? Because he's throwing blocks,
right? And
he's taking on linebackers. He's not taking on safeties or corners. Like he's blocking Mike linebackers,
right?
And he's doing it. Like he might be a better blocker than OJ Howard. He might be the best blocking tight end we have, who's not a tight end,
right?
And Jameis just for sheer competitiveness, desire to win, smarts, and then the third one, I don't know who I would take. I might cheat. I'd probably go Villa just for just how freakishly, mutant-esque strong he is, and that would be those would be the guys I would put together for my choice of if I could take 3 traits from people and put them, I'd be Godwin, Jameis, Villa. But as far as her parameters, I think I would go. I think I'm gonna go with Levante David. I would go David, Villa, Scooty.
All right, yeah, I'd say I think I'd go Jameis, Villa, Veda, and just to be different, I'll say Devin. But I don't know. And so, all right, let me ask you this real quick. You said you wouldn't build a player this way. What would be the thing you would think to bring people together to make the perfect player?
I think it's a lot of what Jameis had. It's like the sheer will to win, the putting in the time, the work ethic, competitiveness. That's kind of like the number one. Number 2 for me would be Godwin because he competes.
Yeah,
he flat out competes. Like it doesn't matter. He's above his weight class. Below his weight class. Who's covering him? Who's going to hit him? Who's trying to tackle him? And he seems to win every time. So his competitiveness as well and his toughness. And sort of, I guess, versatility to do it all in all weight classes. And then, let's face it, this is a lot of this is just one-on-one. Who's, bigger, meaner, badder. A lot of a big part of football is that's just what it is. So, taking, I guess, Godwin's sure will and grit, and then taking Jameis's competitiveness and preparedness and sure will to win, and then matching it up with the strongest guy on the field. No, you're not going to lose a lot of those one-on-one matchups.
Right. All right. One more email came in this week from our friend Alex. It basically says, I know I said that I can't watch for a while for my sanity, but as a true fan, I always have to watch with at least one eye on it. This seemed to be the best game that we played all season. Ironically, the only other game I think the Bucs played great. It was also closed out with an Ndamukong Suh fumble for a touchdown. Which game was that? Do you know off the top of your head? Was that the Rams game? It says, I see some people are upset about the win because it ruins our draft position. I would like to say that it's never about when you draft, but how you draft. Quality players are found all over the draft as long as the Bucs pick correctly. I'm still watching with one eye closed. I've been hurt too many times to get really excited, but my hope is at the turning point.
Yeah, I think Alex sort of put that perfectly. It's not when you draft, it's who you draft.
Mm-hmm.
And, New England never, since I've been alive, never drafted any higher than, 28 maybe?
Right.
And they do it every year.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked this a whole bunch of times, we're not into tanking. We're not you go out there to win, and, it does build sort of a chemistry and a camaraderie, and you hear it all the time. You got to, these guys have to learn how to win. Bruce Arians said it early. We got to learn how to win in the fourth quarter. And, that's what I want to see them do. Oddly enough, I did my first mock draft today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But because I wanted to start learning the players where I think the positions are going to be needed. And mostly it's, of course, tackle. That's got to be replaced. And then it was just all along the defensive line. So I was looking at edge rushers and interior defensive linemen. I actually drafted a linebacker because past White and David, we got Minter, but Minter's no spring chicken.
Right.
Sitchy can't stay healthy.
Right.
So, I started looking at linebackers in the fourth round. But, I got that guy who I've been talking about now is starting to get Heisman hype. Derek Brown, the guy at Auburn, the defensive tackle, who I think would be a perfect replacement for Suh. I actually got him in the draft. I don't remember when I drafted. It was 8th or 9th or 11th or something. I was surprised he was there. But here's the thing. I think the Bucs are going to be drafting closer to O.J. Howard's spot than they were the Devin White spot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably wind up drafting, by the time it's all said and done, in and around that 15 to 20-ish spot.
I think it's 15.
Yeah.
That's my sweet. I think it's going to be 15. It can't be 20 because if you're 20, you make the playoffs. Isn't that right?
Is 20 or 21? I think it's 21.
Yeah.
Because it's the 12 teams, so it'd have to be 21.
12 teams would have to be 20. So
No.
20 would be the last spot.
No, you don't count the zero.
What?
Yeah, you got 21 through 30, which is 10, and then the last two, 31 and 32. That's 12. Counting 20 would put you...
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, you're forgetting 30, I guess. So anyway.
Yes, Alex. We agree.
Sorry. So yeah, all right. With that, Ren, let's turn our attention really towards this game this week. Injury reports came out after practices. Jacksonville Jaguars, Seth DeValve, Ronnie Harrison are going to be out. One with injury, one with a concussion. Everybody else is going to be pretty much going for them. So it's a full team. They are back with Nick Foles, though. They had Gardner Minshew, had a pretty good run there for a little bit, and then he kind of, that Minshew guy, he did sort of a Ryan Fitzpatrick thing. He flashed for a couple of weeks and then just sort of, kind of came down. But with all that, Minshew is not playing. It's Nick Foles. We're back to Nick Foles now.
Nick Foles mania.
Yeah, who won a Super Bowl as a backup.
Philly.
Actually played. Yeah. So he's not been doing great. Just put that out there. His signed a big old contract. He'll be here for a while in Jacksonville, but around. But everybody else is ready to go. So we'll see what happens with them. But as far as the Buccaneers go, Scotty Miller, Anthony Nelson, and MJ Stewart are all out with various injuries. Scotty Miller had sustained a hamstring injury, I guess, this week. And he practiced a little bit on Wednesday, but then he just didn't practice at all Thursday and Friday. Anthony Nelson is dealing several weeks now with still a hamstring injury. MJ Stewart is going on several weeks with a knee injury. Carl Nassib was out today with an illness and is questionable for the game. I think it just depends on how it gets better over the course of Saturday for him. Outside of that, everybody was full participation by Friday, and Ndamukong Suh took a day off on Friday. Probably just a Veterans Day more than anything else. So with that, Ren, this is the part where we come to the only real predictions we do mostly on this show, predicting the inactive roster. And I'm assuming, given your time here, you haven't had a chance to really look at it. So I've got my 7. I'll go ahead and give them to you, and you can tell me what you think. This one's pretty easy. They gave us 3 already: Scotty Miller, Anthony Nelson, MJ Stewart. We also have the 2 guys on the offensive line, Gerald Hawkins and Aaron Stinney. any. Then we have perennial Mr. Inactive now, Jordan Leggett as a tight end, which leaves us with one. And the one I'm going for, and this is based solely on the idea that Carl Nassib is sick. So where historic, the last couple weeks I've said Cousin Daniels would be guy sitting. I'm not sitting Cousin Daniels. I think he's going to dress, which means Mazzy Wilkins is going to be the cornerback who is sitting out for the game. So that is my 7.
This one was pretty easy, you got the 3 and then the 2 offensive linemen, of course.
Right.
And then, yes, now the guy that we don't need, Jordan Leggett.
The 4th tight end, right?
The 4th tight end. Don't need him. Well, I guess he would be the 3rd. No, I forgot. 4th, Hudson's up.
Yeah.
Hudson's up. I'm sorry. And then, I've been trying to put Mazzy Wilkins in the starting lineup since they brought him off the practice squad, and it has not worked out for me.
No.
So, we're going chalk. Man, I'm going chalk. Me and you.
All right. Well, there you go. All right, Ren. Well, that's really going to do it for us for the show here for Buc in the News.
You think Bedazzle get some defensive snaps?
No, I don't. I think I read earlier. We didn't say this, but I read earlier there was I guess it's just how JPP's contract is structured. If he plays X amount of snaps, like per 3-game stretch or something, is what triggers either bonuses for his salary or a bump over his base salary or something. I'm not sure what it is. But he's just completed that, so he's now working on the last 5 games, and so he's going to be trying to play as many snaps as he possibly can. Shaq Barrett is he's working for that next contract, so I don't know how much of their rotation is up to the players themselves, whether or not they come on or off the field. But
0.
JPP and Shaq Barrett stay on the field quite a bit.
They do, and so does Nassib when he's out there.
Yeah, Nassib does too. So outside of an injury, I don't see Cousin Daniels really getting many snaps unless it's in special teams.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. Yeah. So
now with that, I'm going to see JPP just keep trying to run out there.
Right.
like that. Like it's game 5 and he's play 85% of the snaps for his next bonus to kick in, and people come in and all right, you're out. He's like, nope,
go back.
He's like, go back.
But let me if Coach told you to go in,
I ain't leaving.
If you were a player and Coach told you to go in and get JPP out, you run out there and JPP turns out and says, I'm not coming out. You go back. Do you not just turn around and go back?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
because it's a penalty.
Right.
You let the coach handle that. You're like, oh, all right, so he's not coming out. Call a timeout or wait until they either score or have punt or we get a turnover, and you handle it. But I'm not going to stand there and have a knockdown, drag out, yell in the face argument with JPP.
But Jason, Coach said so.
It's my
Coach said so. Right.
Get penalty after penalty because all 12 people stand there. Because JPP's he's the type of cat where he won't cave. He'll take the 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, you're right.
He's like, I told you I wasn't coming out.
Right. Exactly. All right, Ren. Well, do you got any thoughts on this game as we head in towards this Jacksonville game? And with that, I'll also give it to you to close out the show for us, man.
I think the Bucs win in their most convincing fashion yet.
You think so?
I think it's going to be really similar to the Atlanta game as far as score wise and how close it is as far as being up 2 scores a lot. And I think Matt Gay sort of gets back on his extra point horse, which kind of makes a difference.
Right.
Because that game you could have felt a lot better. At some points it could have been a 3-score game, like a 3-score game, but missing 3 extra points or whatever at the time, 2 extra points, turn it into a 2-score game. So I think he makes all those extra points, and the Bucs just kind of cruise to a victory. Once again, I'm going to be very excited, like I was when they finally let go Vernon, of seeing DD and SMB back there. That's
DD, is that your new name? Davis
DD
and Dean?
Yeah, DD and SMB.
All right.
Yeah. So DD and SMB out there playing together, see how they do against this Jacksonville. With any NFL team, like, they have some nice pieces at receiver, but there's no Michael Thomas out there.
Right.
There's no Godwin or Evans. Like, there's no Julio Jones. So I think the Bucs get after him defensively, and I think there's going to be some 3 and outs, and there's going to be some turnovers, and there's not going to be a lot of scoring by the Jaguars in the first half. And if the Bucs get the ball to start the second half, no matter if Jacksonville wins the toss and takes the ball, or we win the toss and defer, and and we go down and score, I think the game will be like over by that time. It's just kind of like hang on. Like, I think take the foot off the gas. I think it's going to be over that early. So big day from the defense. I think the offense is going to do fine. We're getting to the point, I believe, that we're the only ones who can stop us.
Yeah.
I think Ronald Jones is starting to really come on as far as like breaking tackles. He just has to shake that. He still tries to outrun people that he can't. You know, he still has to get it through his head. And most of the time he does. It's getting less and less, but this is the NFL. This is not the Pac-12. You can't just, if the guy has the angle on you, he's going to have the angle on you. You can't give ground and outrun him and get all the way around him and get back to where you were and get plus yardage. It's not going to work. You know, it's just not. You know, even interior defensive linemen are fast enough for where you'll run out of field, and pursuit from the backside or the front side is going to get you. So, but I really like Ronald Jones running straight ahead. He's developed this really good spin move where he takes the contact and then spins off. This is something that I've seen the past few weeks, starting like with the Seattle game and going forward in the Arizona game. You definitely saw it on his touchdown run. I think he spun 3 times and broke 3 tackles in the Atlanta game when he got his touchdown. So yeah, I think this is an easy win for the Buccaneers. You know, and then there's always that caveat, as long as Jameis doesn't implode. But he tried to at Atlanta. And then he decided that he wasn't going to, and that was very encouraging. You're starting to see, you know, I guess the effects of Bruce Arians and Clyde Christensen and Tom Moore, or if you want to put it this way, you're starting to see the effects of a head coach that has his back, or not Dirk Cutter being there, Dirk Cutter not being there. So however you want to phrase it.
I got another option for you, Ren, on this. And I said this, I think, during the Instant Cast. If there's one thing that I can say about Jameis over the past bunch of years, he gets streaky. And he gets streaky when he's really bad, and he gets streaky when he's really good. And it's a gut feeling, just kind of based on the way I was watching him play during the Atlanta game. I think he's getting into a streak where he's going to be really good. Now, if we can stop this being really streaky, you know, swinging the pendulum back and forth, that'll be good for Jameis. But I feel like he's probably going to, at least the next couple of games, if not the rest of the year, we're going to see good Jameis. I feel like we're going to see it. Now, whether or not that carries over and that continues to stay good Jameson through 2020, that remains to be seen. But I feel like that's where we're going to see him. So, you know, is it the BA effect? Is it the not having Cutter around effect? Is it Jameis finally getting everything through his head, or is it streaky Jameis? That's going to be the question mark in my head going forward. But I do think we're going to see good Jameis here over the next bunch of weeks. I think the Buccaneers have all the tools and all the talent to go out and do against Jacksonville exactly what they did against Atlanta, to dominate the game. I really do, if they come to play. And the one that has me the most concerned, might be the right word, is the offensive line, because Jacksonville does have a pretty decent defensive line.
Yeah, they do.
And but they're not world beaters. They're not world changers. I mean, Calais Campbell's fine. Josh Allen's still a rookie. Like they're good. Our offensive line can be more than a match for them when our offensive line is playing well, you know? So I think that, you know, again, games are won and lost in the trenches. I think this will be that. But the trench to watch is when we're on offense and they're on fence. That'll really be the one to do it. So, and the Jags have this tendency to go out and win games that they shouldn't, kind of like Tampa Bay does sometimes. You know, you have that tendency to lose the games you should win and win the games you should lose. And Jacksonville kind of has that as well. So I was looking earlier today that the experts pick the teams. They're probably about as, if not less accurate, I think, than you and I are, Ren. But they
which is weird since we pick the Bucs to win every week.
Almost. But sometimes they seem to be fairly split. Like, I think it's leaning towards the Buccaneers, like maybe 65, 35. But, you know, it's not a hands down, oh, the Bucs just have this game. Like, there are several that are picking the Jags. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But with that, Ren, that's going to go ahead and close out the show. Listen, guys, make sure you join us Sunday night after the game. Win, lose, draw, whatever happens, we will be here to talk about it. Phone lines will be open. We'll be here to talk about it with you guys. So join us at youtube.com/thepewtercast Sunday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You guys do that. Listen, if you're coming to the game or if you're thinking about coming to the game, tickets are cheap right now. I was just looking at it before we got online tonight, Ren. Particularly if you go on Ticketmaster, look for the red dots because there's a lot of people here in Jacksonville who don't want to go to the game and they're trying to sell their tickets and they're selling them for cheaper than they've been. And I've been watching these tickets and the prices are going down. So
it's our Arizona game.
Yeah. This is a game.
Just came off a really bad loss, and the team they're playing, you just don't give a shit about.
And it's a holiday weekend. People have other stuff they got going on. So people are just trying to make any kind of money back off their tickets that they can. So listen, guys, Jacksonville's within a drivable distance, especially for those of you in Tampa. I know I make that trip all the time. So come on up. You don't even have to get a hotel room. It's a day trip. So you guys do that as well. And if you do give me a shout out, who knows? Maybe I'll get to see you there at the game. Maybe. With that, Ren, tell the folks where they can find you on the internet.
Before I do that, Jameis wins the FedEx Air Player of the Week.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know about that. And the only reason I say is because if the Bucs play like I think they're going to play like you're saying, I think it's going to be a much more balanced deal. And I don't know that he's going to go to the air as much to qualify for that award.
Doesn't matter. All he has to do is hit 300 yards, no interceptions. He'll throw for a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
And since, it seems every time he throws the ball to Evans and Godwin, it goes for 22. He's only got to complete
6
10.
passes. Yeah. Right.
So, best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. As you probably figured out, I am back from Ireland. So, feel free to go ahead and DM me and talk to me because, feel free to DM me and talk to me because, I'm back and we're back in it. And the Bucs are going to go undefeated for the rest of the season.
Whoa, big news from Red. If you guys want to find me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social media. And if you want to follow the show, you can do that at The Pewtercast on Twitter and on Facebook. And you can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Once again, join us live, youtube.com/The Pewtercast. Click the bell icon and be notified when we go live. You guys can join us there as well, too. I'd also like to thank our patrons over at patreon.com. You want to find out more about what's going on over there, how to support the show directly, you can do that at patreon.com/thecast. Well, Ren, that's going to do it for us. Bucs play the Jags in just over 24 hours. More like 36 hours, I guess, right now. And so can't wait to see it. And listen, everybody be safe this weekend. If you're traveling, definitely be safe. And until next time, guys, we'll close the show out as always. Go Bucs!